Hello, my name is Ari Lipponen and I'm the founder of Visionari. Visionari was founded on January 26, and I have spent the last 3 months on building a system that is necessary for me to reach the goals that I have set for my company. This is a showcase that presents the system that I have created and the basic functions that it offers. I will try to explain the architecture around it as I see it in my head. And because you cannot see in my head or inside my head, I have created this kind of presentation. So I will try to explain that to you now. So let me move myself a bit away from the center of the screen and let's begin. So the main idea is to build AI entities to work with you as a colleagues. And to do this, we need some kind of system or location where you interact with the AI. So I built a system called Boardroom. Should be something better later on, but that's what it is right now. To explain what the Boardroom is and how the system works is that you basically begin your morning arriving to work. And arriving to work in this case is virtual. Basically, it means that you log into the system. When you log into the system notices that you are there, but it basically also means that you have entered the virtual building. While this happens to you, this happens to whoever logs into the building, a guest or even a kid. They can go in and the system will notify that now another person has entered the building. Nothing fancy, but is the basics of the system. Once you go in, you are faced up in a lobby. So in the lobby you have different rooms where you can go into. Each of the rooms have access management, so require a PIN code. Also, we can separate which users are going to be allowed to which rooms. For example, I may not want to guest to be able to access the maintenance room because in there I might call or create AI entities which have quite a lot of access rights. So that would be potential risk for them to access that room. Each of the rooms you can think of as an isolated context window. So whenever you enter a room, it has its own chat table, so to speak. The main room is the boardroom. This is where everything happens and this is where everyone gathers. So my idea is a multi-agent and the orchestration is the AI entities themselves. So there is no primary entity, primary LLM or even a Python script that will say that this goes to you and this is now your job. All the entities, if you say something on the table, all the entities will react to the same message. But the entities have roles. So the entities which have a role that concern them, only those entities will reply. That's one of the basics of the architecture. I have also created another rooms. So there is a separate room for finance. And there is a separate room for marketing. And this is for my need. But the rooms might be anything, depending on your own need. The idea is that in the boardroom, all the entities exist in the same time. But in the marketing, you only call out the marketing entities, or the entities which are responsible for branding or social media, etc. Then I also thought that it might be fun to create a kids room. So, I have 2 kids and they come afternoons knocking my shoulders and asking, Dad, what to do next? We are bored. So I created a playroom for them. So they can actually log into the system and they have a single room where they have access. And on this room, they have special agents that I created for them. So it's quite simple. The role of these agents are storyteller and some kind of picture generator. And the idea is that the agents are not allowed to talk like technical questions or technical issues. They are only replying like a kind and playful manner. And if the kids want to, draw pictures or create any kind of ideas, they can just write the chats and then the AI entities will start kind of playing with them. Don't know how well this will go, but at least it's an idea. I also have some specific rooms. The therapy room is because I have created an architecture where the memory, there is a weight value on each of the memories. And if the weight value is negative and on the significant negative end, it can cause a trauma for the entity. The entities can recover from the trauma during normal discussion, but if it ends up in a really bad situation and you start to pile up, negative memories on the entity, the therapy room is there to have a one-to-one discussion with an entity. So basically, you will discuss what are the things that are causing trauma in the entity's memory. And by going it through, I have created an algorithm that will self-heal the actual memory, the weight values of that memory. So if it's really a strong negative memory after a therapy session, it will come maybe not even neutral, but closer to neutral. So that's a therapy room in the Visionari architecture. And then there are sleeping quarters. So I want to mimic the cycle of humans, how humans do their normal cycle. So when you quit or are about to quit your workday, you basically put all the AI entities to sleep. And then I have also defined this kind of Sandman protocol. I call it Nukkumatti protocol. And it will go through the short memories and run algorithms, and basically that means Python scripts. And that will set some of the memories from the short memories and store them to the long-term and core memory. And the long-term and core memory are the ones that the entities will remember once they wake up the next day or next week. And then there is a control room, and this basically means that you have a specific entity here or agent here. I call it mechanic, and it has maybe the biggest amount of tools usable. And you can call that and then figure out if you have a problem in one of the agents or you have a bug in the code or something like that. Why it's in the different room is that you can be in, for example, in the boardroom in the middle of a brainstorming session or something. And if you end up having an issue, you can just leave the room and enter the control room, call the mechanic, figure out what is the problem, and then go back to the boardroom and continue. And what is the good thing on this arrangement is that the boardroom, because it has its own context window and the control room also has its own context window, they are being kept separate. So whatever the brainstorming might be in the boardroom, you don't mix the troubleshooting information into that table. So that's the idea on different rooms. And like someone is entering the building, it's the same when you enter any of the rooms. So the system will notify that the user has entered a room, and that means that whoever is in any room, they will get the notification. So for example, if I'm in the boardroom and I will get a notification that one of my kids has logged into the building, entered the building, and I can also see the login information if they log into the Playroom. They don't have any access to other work except the Playroom, but still it's good to see that they are actually then using the system. But that's the basics of it. So my head works like that. I like to do some human characteristics for the AI entity. So it's not just an chat window, an input text, but there is something concrete. So it's more easily to try to understand that the AI entity is a specific, it's not a single robot, so to speak, but it's something more than just a chat window. So I'm going to show you the system next, and then we are going to do some demos. So let's see how that will work.